Hello and welcome to Impact Innovators at the Fireside with today's special guest, Buster Franken. Buster is the CEO and co-founder of Fruitpunch AI, a global community of about 4,500 AI engineers. Together, they've executed on about 40 different projects where they're tackling some of humanity's greatest challenges. He'll talk about how they're using their AI skills to solve environmental crimes or to protect endangered species using something like facial recognition algorithms. Their projects have exposed industrial polluters, they have revolutionized wildlife conservation, and now they're pushing the boundaries of medical research. Buster loves to talk about how AI engineers, in his opinion, have an outsized impact on the world, and I love his vision for it. Please stay tuned. While tech giants are focusing on using AI to improve their growth metrics, Buster is doing something radically different. He is training the next generation of AI engineers to put impact at the heart of everything they do. So join us for a thoughtful conversation about using the world's most powerful technology as a force for good.
Hey, Buster.
Hey, Arjen.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
In the forest, we're sitting inside. No campfire.
Yeah, we were afraid of the wolves.
The wolves.
So yeah.
In the dark.
We want to leave them in peace. So we go back in our little hobbit hole.
Well, I hope it's nice and comfortable sitting next to
It is very comfortable.
the wood stove.
Yeah.
Good. We're talking about Fruitpunch AI and your personal journey.
There we are.
But before we start talking about your thing, can you help us understand the scale of what Fruitpunch AI does today?
Absolutely. So Fruitpunch AI is a global community of AI engineers. About 4,500 AI engineers have worked on various projects that we have organized. It might look like Kaggle for people that know that in the beginning, but really our challenges are collaborative projects. So people work in a team of around 30 AI engineers. They work together to solve a problem within 10 weeks for an impact organization. And these 4,500 engineers have worked on over 40 different challenges in teams with organizations like European Space Agency on detecting and mitigating forest fires, to Stanford and Colgate University to identify elephants in the Congo, to medical centers to help save lives by detecting diseases.
That's okay.
So that's a little bit of an idea of the scale, and of course the scale of the impact is the follow-on effect as well of solving these problems. So to give you an idea of a specific challenge, we worked with Greenpeace to detect illegal toxic clouds coming out of a steel factory. This was a problem in the Netherlands. We do challenges all over the world, but this was in the Netherlands.
This is a local one.
Was a local one, and they had been in this dispute about if they were actually emitting toxic clouds, and it was hard to prove. So at a certain point, they started kind of crowdsourcing the detection of these toxic clouds, but it was very hard to verify just with human power. So we built AI models that surveilled the factories at all times. And within, I think it was 3 or 4 months from that, they had accrued 4.1 million euros in fines due to the models that we created that observed these factories. And eventually it led to a decision by the Dutch government, by the sitting party at that point, to actually officially externally monitor these factories, which makes that they can't emit these toxic clouds anymore. And that's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people that had incredibly heightened risks of cancer. And the goal, of course, is to then be able to, we open source everything, to then be able to roll this out to other places in the world as well.
So hold on. So you said you crowdsourced the clouds, the images.
The detection of the clouds. Yeah.
What do you mean with that?
So these were you had these stokes. It's a kind of CO buildup in these factories that can come out in these fumes if the plant is not regulated thermally optimally.
Okay.
So they have a responsibility to do this optimally, but for all kinds of reasons, they weren't doing this. And then when this actually comes free and goes up into the atmosphere, you can kind of see it. An expert can see it.
Right.
But then, having experts monitoring multiple of these exhausts for 24/7 is very difficult.
But because they have multiple of these fumes.
Yeah. Multiple of
Chimneys.
these exhaust, chimneys, basically. Yeah, exactly. So that's where the power of AI comes in.
Okay, so this is how you got to the Greenpeace challenge. To detect these clouds and or not detect the clouds, to monitor the clouds and detect
toxic
the toxic ones. But you did many others. And one one that really got me excited, maybe because it's so cute, is the seals one.
Yeah, facial recognition of seals. Yeah.
Right, and this blew me away because you apparently you can use AI facial recognition to separate one individual seal from another.
Yeah.
Right. These are seals, right?
Yeah.
And it just works.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
It kind of makes sense if you think about it. Yeah. But for us as human beings, they all look the same.
Yeah, but we're very geared with our recognition model works on other human faces.
Yeah.
But essentially,
why would you want to recognize one seal?
Yeah.
Why is that important?
So this one is about it's about ecosystem management.
Okay.
So or observation. So these seals mostly living with the universities that we were working together with. I think this was Colgate.
Okay. Where is Colgate based out of?
New York, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, that's a good question. Yeah, we're always working online, so
you don't even okay.
So I'm not 100% crystal on where exactly they are.
But they're pretty smart.
They're pretty smart. Okay. Yeah. And so these are marine biologists that are monitoring seal populations because seals are at the top of the food chain or somewhere at the top of the food chain. Okay. So they eat the fish, and then if there is something wrong with even the plants locally, then this will translate into there being a lower fish population, which will translate into the seals not doing as well, right? So basically, you can get they're a great indicator for how the whole ecosystem is doing. So that's why it's really important to monitor seals, and that's why you generally see that that there's a lot of emphasis on monitoring predators in ecosystems. And for this, you need to know not only how many seals there are, but also, how many new seals are they making? How fast are they dying? Is that at a normal rate? So you need to be able to detect individual seals.
Yeah.
So these marine biologists, what they used to do is they take pictures I think this is the East Coast of the US. They take pictures of these seals sitting on the rocks. And then these marine biologists, they go through every picture and they have every seal marked. And they're like, I think this is Henry the seal. And then they take a picture from the database, which is Henry the seal. And then they're like, yeah, this is Henry the seal. And then they annotate like all these different seals that they see in the picture. And then they do that for every picture.
It's very time consuming.
Yeah, so this takes like, 3 hours per picture, right?
Right.
And after we were done with the challenge, this took 2.7 seconds for a picture. Right? So
I'm actually quite surprised that these people are able to recognize these different seals.
Yeah, no, it's impressive. But they're trained biologists that
they know what they're doing.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. They know their seals. Yeah, and but this is what we did with them, and it's very important.
So where did these pictures come from?
So they take them as marine biologists. They are assigned to monitor a certain ecosystem along the coast there.
Yeah.
So a certain spot that they know is a breeding ground, for example. Yeah. And then they go at a fixed time a year and they take pictures.
Right.
Go out on their boat. Yeah, to the rock. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so you got the face recognitions for seals.
Mm-hmm.
You did that.
Yeah.
Was that the first wildlife facial recognition challenge that you did?
Was it the first? That's a good question.
Where, after that one, you had bears.
Yes.
Turtles.
Yeah. Sea turtles.
And a whole bunch of other ones.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So your community got really good at recognizing
Yeah.
Individuals.
Yeah, wildlife identification. That's a big one for us, and that is in the coming year. We want to we've identified a couple of focus areas like this, where we really want to hone in on, and this is really one of the things that we just got incredibly good at in the world stage of doing these things. So SealNet,
What's the world stage of animal face recognition? What's that?
Yeah, it sounds a little bit like a fetish or something, like a very niche Reddit group.
Oh, do they come together? Or do they have meetings?
No, but it's rather just all these marine biologists and biologists that are they're realizing that they can use AI for this, but they don't get any training in AI or in machine learning. Uh-huh. So they're some of them kind of try to teach themselves, and it's like they try to hack stuff together. But it's really a place where you can make a lot of impact with the model that we have. Yeah. Especially because it's just a place where there's not necessarily a lot of money to be made, but there's a huge positive impact to be able to monitor these ecosystems.
Can you talk a little bit about the impact that it's creating?
Yeah. So in to be able to, this is a major one. I think this is the biggest one. So of course you can talk about the conservation of this specific animal, but with these predators,
individual.
Well, no, with the group, like the seals or these sea turtles. Yeah. But the fact that they're a keystone species, so this predator that is indicative of the entire ecosystem, means that you can if you see how they're doing, then you can say something about how the ecosystem is doing, which you can take to people that are locally, like factories, for example, that are polluting, and they might go over a certain limit, or the limit might be too high. And then you can take this information, this actual data about but over time there has been this change, to actually go to local governments and as evidence and say this needs to change in this way. So
did that happen with one of these challenges?
I haven't got a direct report back that they did had a lawsuit or something. Yeah. But this is generally their goal with this. So I'm guessing they're doing this all the time.
Yeah. Do you have an example of another challenge where you created very tangible impact? You mentioned the one with the clouds, of course, which was a real success.
Yeah.
Are there others?
Yeah. I mean, we did so many challenges. I'm kind of blanking now that you're asking me one.
Okay, maybe we'll talk about later. So let's zoom out a little bit first before we go there. So Fruitpunch is a community, 4,500 engineers, you said, and you're solving these challenges. Somehow you're collecting challenges. You have a way to find them through the community or other ways. And then you work with a university or with
governmental
institutions.
Agency,
Okay.
Or impact startups. We work a lot with impact startups.
Right. So that's pretty powerful. Why are you using the frame challenge for these projects?
Yeah, I think it comes from that. Everything we do is always geared towards the Sustainable Development Goals. So we took a couple of we made a couple of decisions in what we are and what we aren't going to do, right? So we're not going to define what is good and what is not good in a broader sense. So I love these philosophical topics, but we just said okay, the UN Sustainable Development Goals, that's what we're optimizing for.
All of them.
Yeah. So we take on any challenge that hits on one of the Sustainable Development Goals, although there are Sustainable Development Goals like industry and innovation, which is not necessarily something that we focus on. So we focus more on life on land, life below water, zero hunger, equality, and then good health and well-being. So mostly healthcare, climate action. So healthcare, climate, biodiversity, and social issues. Those are our main
so far
focus areas.
Those are the kinds of SDGs that
Yeah.
challenges have been pointed towards.
Yeah.
So can anybody just come to you, to your community, and say, hey, I want to dig into this. I have a data set.
Yeah.
And I want to understand XYZ from this data set. Can I just bring it to you?
Yeah, you
How does
can.
it work?
Definitely, and please do if you're watching this, if you're listening to this.
Yeah.
So we are quite critical on what kind of projects we take on, because we want to make sure that we make a maximum positive impact with every project.
Yeah.
So that means that next to that, there needs to be a data set, or sometimes there's public data available, right? But then it would be nice if you have some like concrete idea about this.
Does it always start with the data? Is that the way to go?
It usually starts with the data, because with the data and a certain problem, right? So, but the thing is, when you start with just any problem, there's a lot of things that aren't necessarily suited to be solved with AI, right? So some things just need to change in terms of government policy, and that's not what we do. I have definitely thought about like, somewhere in the future it would be nice to expand to other domains and maybe do like, you have a certain problem, and then it turns out that the most impactful thing that you can do is just put on like a huge lawsuit against a certain company. That would be cool, but it's absolutely not what we're doing right now.
But other people are doing that.
Other people are doing that as well. Yeah. So we focus on things that can be solved with AI. So it usually starts with the data, and then a certain problem that needs solving. And what we kind of the first thing that we look for is that it's a problem that's really core to the organization that's bringing us the problem or the potential challenge. So there's a lot of individuals that would love to, they're like, but this is a huge problem. And then we're like, yeah, absolutely. But we are not domain experts in some specific type of disease, for example, right? And we don't have access to patient data and these things. So that's generally why it starts with the data, because that means if an organization has access to the data and is motivated to solve the problem, then they're in a position where we can also actually help them and make a big impact.
Yeah. And then what do? You like, who comes up with the definition of the challenge? Is that you?
Yeah, it's usually us in collaboration with what we call the challenge owners.
Who's us, by the way?
Us is my little team of bandits.
Yeah.
So that's me and Dorian, our challenge manager. And then we also, on a project basis, hire the best experts from our community to come in. So, for example, we're setting up an AI for genetics research challenge with Philips right now, and
Philips, the industrial company.
Yeah. They're doing a lot of healthcare,
the medical healthcare appliances.
Yeah, exactly. And there we hired somebody from our community that is an associative or an associate professor that has a lot of experience in bioinformatics.
So this is someone from the community.
Yeah.
That you already know.
Yeah.
But now you're paying them.
Yeah, so we're paying them. It's not a similar amount to what you would normally pay an AI engineer.
Okay.
But it's really kind of to make it fair. So we try to compensate them, but yeah, the challenges are the not-for-profit part. So we try to keep the costs low for the impact organizations that we work with as well.
We should talk about the other side of it, the for-profit part. Then.
Yeah.
How does that work? Because you harvest these challenges, and you have the community execute on the challenges in the not-for-profit part of the business. Yeah. Apparently, there's also a profit part of the business. So what does that do then?
Yeah. So what we of course, when we first attracted investment, I started Fruitpunch as an NGO, then was at a certain point approached by investors who saw kind of the growth of the community and the things that we were doing, and decided to turn it into a startup. So then with the specific idea of like, I want to make this sustainable and scalable, right? Yeah. And for that, you need to find a business model that actually works so that you can be self-sustaining. So I really believe in this way of doing business instead of asking for a donation and then being able to do one project. You can ask for an investment and then look for a business model with which you can 10x, 100x, 1000x your impact at a certain point. So
because that's the thing, right? You want to generate that additional impact.
yeah, exactly. So it's to me, it's all about getting to this position of leverage, right? So and that's also why I found the startup path really interesting. And then what we noticed at a certain point is that actually the education part, it has been something that we promoted since the start. The first thing that we tried was going to the universities and saying like, hey, don't you want to have your students participate in our challenges as challenge-based learning? Because we really believe that the future of education is, on the one side, using things like ChatGPT and AI in the best way possible to help people learn, but also, not go fully digital, because you need to be put into real world scenarios where you're actually, where you're dealing with a real stakeholder with dirty data, where you need to solve an actual problem to actually learn and cement things into your memory, turn it into experience.
What you believe is the right approach to education.
Yeah, no, very strongly. And there's a lot of research supporting this as well. So at the university where I studied, Technical University of Eindhoven, there's a lot of research being done into challenge-based learning specifically. So that's also where I borrowed the term from. And back then, Isabel, the professor that was working on this, we had regular conversations. At a certain point, she told me like, yeah, we put a PhD student on trying to make a business model out of challenge-based education. Didn't work. And then I said like, well, watch me and we'll talk in a few years. And then I'll, so I kind of, so it's always been a very important part of what we're doing. But then in the beginning, universities, we couldn't take it past the stage of like a pilot project, because of course it fundamentally changes the way that we're educating people, right? So it's not evaluating people based on a test.
So sorry, I just want to make sure we all understand what you're talking about. So challenge-based learning means that you don't just get a normal assignment, right? One off the shelf that the professor has been using in the past couple of years, but you get thrown into the deep end.
Yeah, real problem.
With a real problem, with dirty data.
Yeah, real stakeholder.
What do you mean with dirty data?
Dirty data is like data that hasn't been cleaned. So, but data cleaning is, getting out the duplicates, getting out the kind of like the mislabeled points, like the lacking.
You take the case of the seals, and you've got these pictures of the seals laying on the ice, and then but maybe there are overlapping pictures. Or so, I don't know.
Yeah, or mislabeled
that has
pictures.
To be cleaned.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
All right,
yeah,
good.
To train the machine learning.
So, but that's the challenge: is figure all these things out.
Yeah, exactly. So, and they need to go into conversation with the stakeholder as well and ask them questions. So the information retrieval there is not is not in a written assignment, but is in the way that it would go in a real world situation as well. Somebody has a problem, and you need to figure out how to solve that problem for them.
I can imagine it's very hard for people to come up with the right data, or to collect the right data. Like
Absolutely.
Where do you start?
Yeah.
And it's all messy, and it's a process. So this is the for-profit side of the business. Is you're selling education in a way to universities or schools,
enterprises.
to enterprise. Okay, also the companies.
Yeah. So actually, we mostly. So this is like selling to universities. The first thing that we tried, and then we moved on, and then we tried a lot of other different business models like recruitment and like a kind of gig economy platform. But in the end, we got back to education, because while we were doing these challenges, we kept being approached by companies that were like, "Oh, can our engineers participate in your challenge, but then work on specifically the MLOps part? And can they be in a team together, so we have a little bit of team building?" So we just started asking money for this.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point, we were like, "Oh, wait, people actually want to pay to participate in our challenges." So it's like the exact opposite. So people usually ask me first, like, do you pay these people that participate in your challenges?
Yeah.
And now the reality is that we have some volunteers in the challenges, but we have people paying to participate in the challenges.
Right. But there's a different skill level as well.
Yeah, exactly.
The volunteers are like experts.
Yeah.
and the others, the youngsters, are paying.
Yeah, the youngsters or people generally, they're people
Try
that
to get into the
are
field.
already professionals. I would say already programming professionally, but then are getting into machine learning, or want to upskill in a specific skill. So we have a lot of meteor people as well. And they then pay to also get a little bit of extra guidance from the experts on our team, or experts that we pay from the community to give this guidance.
So if you're an AI engineer or an engineer who wants to get into the AI space, you want to provide them with a place that they can go to.
Yeah, exactly.
To apply their skills, do something good for the world.
Yeah.
And then change the course of humanity. Is that what I just heard you say?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and we also provide courses and live programs for people to actually learn how to apply AI, right? And a platform where they can interact with a lot of other engineers and improve their skills.
Why do we need to change the course of AI? Of humanity. Like, I'm just thinking about that word, like the weight of it. You need 1 million engineers to change the course of humanity. Why do you say that?
Yeah. Why do I say that? Or why do I name, why do I put it like this? Why this number? Humanity. Why humanity?
Yeah.
Because I think we're the dominant species.
You didn't say change the world. You said change the direction.
Ah, that's okay. Now I get it. Yeah. No, that's a good point. Because I think, I mean, to me, it might seem very obvious that like the path that we're on right now is just not going in the right direction in terms of climate change and biodiversity loss and all these things. And I think it's kind of about humanity growing up, right? So I see these in the same way that one
taking responsibility.
Yeah, in the same way that an individual goes through various stages of development, right? First, you're a child, completely egocentric, very cute, but I think egocentric, right?
Correct.
That's like
of course.
And then the teenager, and then you want to do whatever you want, and you're not listening to anyone, and then at a certain point, you're an adult, and you need to get some like emotional intelligence and be responsible for your actions. And I think this is also what's happening with humanity, kind of like this. I call it it's a known trope, the fall from paradise, right? So we've been falling from paradise ever since the agricultural and then industrial revolution, where there was a point at which we were just one of the animals. We were completely, little child, basically. Yeah. We were completely. We could do whatever we wanted, and we were just part of this ecosystem.
We could allow ourselves to be selfish.
Yeah, exactly. And then at a certain point, we started to use tools and use our intelligence more and more to shape the world around us. Yeah. And with this came knowledge, and this is also the biblical fall from paradise, right? So knowledge is introduced with this shame. With this hierarchies, with this war and disease, because cities were built, and all of these things, and then I see this as kind of like with every step that we take in terms of scientific knowledge and technology, we take away a part of what we once took for granted, and what needs to come in place of that is an understanding of this part, right? And we are somewhat trailing behind on our the understanding of the impact that we're having on the world. The real kind of like visceral, not rational, but like visceral, emotional understanding of our responsibility. And I think that this is really the next step, that we grow up as humanity and we take this responsibility.
You said AI engineers or engineers in general have an outsized impact.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess I can buy into that, but does that also give people a moral obligation
Oh yeah, with great
Do
power
that.
comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, Uncle Ben, I think, said that from Spider-Man. Yeah, so I do believe that. You know, I've always felt like this for myself.
Yeah.
That I mean, I don't think it's arrogant to say, like, I excelled, right, in school. I found it easy to do these things. I always felt like if there's anything, if there's any kind of direction that is given to me in life, then it has to be that I use this to serve the good of life in this universe.
How can we help you with that?
Yeah. So I want to get to those, to the 1 million AI engineers
By 2030.
by 2030.
Yeah.
And in the end, we need everybody to make doing good the core of what they're doing. But
maybe you start small. Maybe, I mean, if I were an engineer out there in the field, what do? I go to fruitpunch.ai.
Yeah, you can go to fruitpunch.ai, you click on platform, and you're kept up to date on future challenges that you can join as an expert. But really, the most impactful thing is that right now to create this this flywheel effect, we've come to a business model that actually works which is working with these enterprises. So the key position that I'm going for now is this technical management, right? I want people that are the IT managers or the CTO or the head of AI that feel like there is more that I can do here, and that is,
with their teams and their people.
With their teams. Yeah. If you want to train your engineers, then why not train them through Fruitpunch AI, where they're also making a positive impact at the same time.
What is the one challenge, your dream challenge, that you would hope to run into one day? The one that, I don't know, find a cure for cancer, or like what's...
Yeah, so we've literally started working on this already. The cure for cancer. There's a lot of cures for cancer, right? There's a lot of specific. Yeah. So okay, but I was going to keep it short.
Well, I don't know. I mean, do you have a challenge right now that people can sign up for?
They can't sign up yet. We're still in the but one of these weeks where they will actually be working towards curing cancer. Yes.
I'm very slow publishing these podcasts, so maybe.
Okay, yeah. So then it's live. Yeah.
But this is a great example. So you have challenges that work on these kind of things.
AI for genetics research, using transformers using transformers and a new compression algorithm to find relations between certain medicine and certain genes, so that we can identify, is this life-saving drug going to work on you or not? Because a lot of life-saving drugs, they actually only work on 5% of the entire population, and that in a lot of cases has to do with a certain set of genes that people have. But it's very difficult to find that as a researcher. But a machine learning model can do this.
Okay.
So
they predict whether a certain kind of medicine is going to help the individual, yes or no? Yeah,
exactly. So that's literally using AI to try and cure cancer. Yeah.
And you're using a transformer to do that?
Yeah, transformers, yeah.
So if you could translate transformer to normal people speak, it would...
Yeah, so it's like these large language models, like ChatGPT, but then instead of training it on a lot of text data, you train it on a lot of, well, it's actually also text data because it's ATG, right? DNA. Like it's DNA. Yeah. And then that also has a certain structure and certain repetitions, just like, words and grammar and these kinds of things. So you can actually predict it. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Let's change the course of humanity with 1 million engineers.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's.
Good luck, Buster.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us at the Fireside today. If Buster's vision of technology as a force for good resonates with you, then please help us spread the word. You'll find Impact Innovators at the Fireside on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other major platforms. Consider giving us a rating. It helps others discover these conversations, and sharing your favorite insights on LinkedIn can spark important discussions in your own network. Join us next time as we continue to explore how technology can help solve humanity's greatest challenges.